Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. There was a Senate hearing this morning, and the focus of it was all things crypto, and it was a lot more interesting than you might have guessed. Sometimes these things can be a little bit of dry, and I watched most of it anyway. But check this out. A sitting senator slammed Gary Gensler because, well, he wasn't there today. And another fun surprise, and I'll share with you these specifics, but Attorney John Deaton's work, it was literally cited in this Senate hearing. So I'm telling you, like, the work that this man has been doing, people are noticing. And it's highly consequential. And it has to do ultimately with his representation of Naomi Brockwell's amicus in the SEC v. Ripple case, which certainly will, to whatever degree, have an impact in the SEC v. Ripple case, even if it's not because of some sort of legally binding situation. I'm not saying that. But still, Judge Torres is aware of what's going on here. So plenty to discuss. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. So I do want to cite something that's strange real quick here. So when I create content for my videos, what I do is I'll just kind of just go to, I have all sorts of places that I go to source information on what's going on in the world of crypto and the XRP community. It includes crypto media outlets, it includes mainstream media, it includes social media. I look up all sorts of stuff, and then I'll map out my the content that I want to cover for the day. And I know that I typically have about the same amount of time each day I'm going to devote to this, so I typically end up talking whatever it is, 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes. Maybe it's an hour, whatever. So it's somewhere there about. That's typically what it is. And then just chop that up into 3 videos. So as I mapped this out and then sat down to hit record on this video, my first video for this day, I opened up all the tabs for this video, and you can see here's Eleanor Terrett's account here, except it's gone now. Like minutes before I went to record, I wanted to check one more thing that she had shared because she was highlighting all sorts of interesting stuff having to do with the Senate hearing, and her account is gone. So here, I'll hit refresh one more time. Maybe it'll magically pop back up again, but it's still gone. No idea what happens, but Eleanor Terrett is a Fox Business journalist. She's been heavily covering, as I'm sure most of you are aware, the SEC v. Ripple case. So I just thought I'd mention it, but I can share with you what she had to say. Because I had these tabs already open, but I'm telling you, like minutes after I opened these tabs, it just happened to be the case that right after that, her account's poof. So hope nothing's wrong. Hopefully it comes back. I don't know if it's a Twitter glitch, but just thought I'd mention that. Here's the first thing that she shared. She wrote, "Scoop. Gary Gensler is actually this first one was from February 9th, and just kind of set the table because she had been warning. Look, there's going to be what has been dubbed a midnight massacre. I made a video where I covered this, and it's basically a blitz on all things crypto from all sorts of government agencies, including the SEC, major attack on all things crypto. And so this is from February 9th, and she wrote, "Scoop, Gary Gensler is embarking on a midnight massacre in an attempt to bring all of crypto under his control. In the coming weeks, the SEC, NYDFS, and U.S. Office of the Comptroller of the Currency will be bringing a myriad of enforcement actions against exchanges, banks, and entities that mint tokens in an attempt to label the majority of them as securities. I'm told Gensler's strategy is to bring as many enforcement actions as possible while the 118th Congress is still getting its bearings." And then there was this from a Fox Business journalist, Charles Gasparino. He wrote, "Breaking. Per Eleanor Terrett and my reporting, securities lawyers, including a past top SEC official, say SEC looking to largely cut off crypto in all its forms after FTX debacle. SEC has blanketed crypto with so-called Wells notices signaling intent to bring cases." Now, that tweet was from today, just this morning. So the assault is very real. It continues, and we have seen actions recently to validate what's being stated here, but it seems like it's only going to get even more ridiculous. And then there was this from 6 hours ago, roughly. Eleanor Terrett just kind of covering some of the stuff that happened in this Senate hearing. And she wrote, "In his opening statement, Senator Tim Scott calls out Gary Gensler for prioritizing his media engagements over his congressional ones. He said, quote, 'The chairman has lots of time to do the rounds on the morning talk shows. If he has time for that, he should be here testifying with us.'" Yeah, and isn't that funny? He likes to trot himself out on CNBC after he sues Kim Kardashian, they come to settlement terms, likes to go on television there, but he couldn't make it to the U.S. Senate hearing. Couldn't do that. And Tim Scott, I don't really know a whole lot about him, but I just thought I'd mention this. As it turns out, there's this report from The Guardian. It just notes that there's a report that apparently Senator Tim Scott is going to be running for president. And he hates Gensler, so I like that. Now, I'm not making a political statement. I really don't know anything about this gentleman. But the idea of somebody that doesn't care for Gensler running for president, I don't hate that part. And look, Gary Gensler refusing, that's completely ridiculous. But you also had Chairman Brown, and he noted a couple years ago, $54 million was spent for 8 advertisements during the Super Bowl. And this year, the NFL actually banned all crypto advertisements. Now, isn't it funny how retail speculators were herded into crypto by advertisements in 2021 as the peak was approaching for the market cycle? Isn't it funny? Because that was about the worst time for someone new to jump into crypto. It was the time of greatest risk and least opportunity. Of course, I understand that it was months after that Bitcoin hit its all-time high in the 60,000s, and then it hit another all-time high, technically after slumping, I guess it was in November of the year. But still, we had already seen a ton of upward movement, and you're herding people in as we're hitting that euphoric phase in the market cycle. Isn't it funny? So people herded in during that period. Now advertisements are banned. And so you fast forward a couple years to now, we now languish at the bottom of the market, which is the time of greatest opportunity for retail investors, yet the NFL has banned the advertisements. So typical retail speculators aren't going to know about that. Isn't that funny how that works? Not in a good way, not in a, haha, that's hilarious, in a, no, that's tragic kind of way. It's ridiculous. So there was that, and then also a lot of what was discussed also, and this won't be surprising, had to do with how the FTX Ponzi grew to the degree that it did, and without the SEC being aware of any problems. Isn't that something? No wonder Gary Gensler doesn't want to be at this hearing. He would have gotten some hard questions here. Here's another tweet from Fox Business journalist Eleanor Terrett. Policy director at the Chamber of Progress, Janae, submitted a written statement for the record to Senate Banking today, urging for clear crypto regulations while slamming the SEC's regulation by enforcement approach. So this is the part where attorney John Deaton's hard work, just another instance of it clearly paying off. It's being cited here at the highest levels of the United States government now. So I don't want to read this whole thing, but this is a written document from the Chamber of Progress. And I even shared it in a tweet here, the relevant portion here. I will read that part. And so I tagged John, and I said, not sure if you saw this, John Deaton, but your hard work as amicus in the library case was cited in a Senate hearing this morning, making a very real difference. And he said that he hadn't, and then said thanks. So here's the most relevant portion from the Chamber of Progress. We believe that Congress should pass legislation that will provide the proper financial safeguards for the digital asset industry. And the first bullet point here, and this is the only one that I want to cover because it's the most relevant portion, what they want is clarification of a digital security versus digital commodity. Congress should designate a clear line in the sand where a token stops being a commodity. The SEC and CFTC have determined that Bitcoin, and sometimes Ether, are commodities. However, this determination has not included the conditions upon which the respective digital asset is considered a commodity or security. So pause note, that's already true enough. And I know that the SEC likes to pretend like everything's plenty clear here. We know that's a lie. We know that they don't believe that because it's impossible for a human to believe something that is so absurd. But check out this. This is the part where the Chamber of Progress highlights John Deaton's good work. Check this out. They wrote, contributing to the lack of clarity is a recent appeal in the SEC's case against Library, Inc., which revealed the secondary sales of Library's token did not qualify as the sale of a security. Right there, that is exactly attorney John Deaton's work as amicus representing Naomi Brockwell in that case during the remedy portion of that whole thing. So that is awesome. And it's like, that's why I keep saying, like, to whatever degree, I don't know exactly what impact it'll have on Judge Torres, but it's something. If anything, it should instill additional courage. Not that, I'm not saying that Judge Torres isn't already courageous, but she seems to be willing to actually, stand her ground and say what she actually thinks and rule it and as such. But I'm just saying, if anything, you would think it would instill additional confidence in her that if this is the way that she thinks it makes sense to go, yes, go right on ahead and do it. Coolest stuff here. And like, that's so highly consequential because that's what matters for us as XRP holders. Even if Ripple technically loses to the SEC, as long as there's a path forward for XRP holders and secondary market transactions aren't hit, cool. That's all we need. And I still think that you shouldn't have some sort of ruling in such a way that Ripple can't conduct its business. If you want to penalize, if that's what the judge finds, fine. If that's what's found, fine. But you should still provide a path forward, right? And then there's also this from Eleanor Turch. She wrote, an obvious show of bias from Senator Warren directing her questions, which were mostly rhetorical, exclusively to the only anti-crypto witness. I wonder if Lee Reiners had her questions in advance. Yeah, so there's this Lee Reiners guy. I wasn't familiar with him, not that I recall anyway. He was like the only anti-crypto guy that was at the hearing this morning. And he said all the normal BS that you'd expect from people that just don't get crypto. Like, there's no purpose for it, effectively. And I'm paraphrasing here. He also said that it's what criminal uses. All this, stuff that if you've only looked at crypto on the surface, that's the type of opinions that you'd expect from somebody. And so, as far as Senator Warren, you know how Senator Warren behaves in these hearings, right? She'll ask a question, somebody will start to answer. She doesn't like the answer. If it's a pro-crypto person, and then she won't let them finish talking. She'll just start talking over them, and then she'll basically start giving a speech. That's basically what happens every time. Oh my God, that woman. Oh my God. I can barely stand to listen to her speak. So anyway, that was that. And then there was this tweet also from Eleanor Turret. She shared this tweet from somebody who goes by the name of Thox, who wrote, no one from Congress or the SEC has done a poll or even reached out to retail investors asking their opinions and answering their questions on crypto. If their purpose is to actually protect retail investors, wouldn't you assume public input? Truth is, they don't care. Now, that is spot on. They sure as hell do not care, as evidenced by their behavior. And what they're doing, it doesn't protect investors. It absolutely does not. It makes Gary Gensler feel good, though. And so Eleanor Turret retweeted that and said, same point was made to me today by a former SEC official. Their words, quote, members need to hear from constituents. Right now, they are only hearing from companies and agencies. They need to hear from real users, end quote. So that's a former SEC official. You're not going to hear that from current officials, obviously. You can see who's running the show right now. But still, it just is what it is. Then there was this also from Eleanor Turret. She wrote, just a few hours ago, I asked Tom Emmer, Congressman Tom Emmer, who, by the way, I'll just note this in case you weren't aware, Tom Rimmer has publicly stated XRP absolutely is not a security. So anyway, she says, I asked Congressman Tom Emmer for his reaction to the crypto blitz. Quote, where are the rules? After the fact enforcement actions mean nothing unless paired with a framework for compliance. Gary Gensler has subjected the crypto community to regulatory purgatory with little to no way to offer registered compliant products and services in the United States, and in the process has hurt everyday American investors the most. We need to bring crypto firms into the United States, safe and strong markets, not relegate them offshore, leaving investors vulnerable to insufficient regulatory safeguards, end quote. Spot on, Tom Emmer. Absolutely. So that's the gist of what happened. Some of the most interesting parts of this. Hopefully, Eleanor Turret here, I'll hit refresh again, see if it's magically back, but I hope she comes back. Hey, it's back. Hey, there we go. What do you know? Okay, so I don't know if it was a glitch or what, but the account was gone. Twitter's been doing some weird stuff lately. So don't know, but I guess all is well. So anyway, I guess I'll go ahead and wrap up there, but man, isn't that the coolest thing in particular, the fact that Attorney John Deaton's work was covered here. It's highly impactful. It's going to change the way that judges make their considerations because it's a huge piece of the puzzle. These secondary market transactions, Attorney Deaton did that. And, obviously with support along the way from the XRP community. But still, my gosh. I'll go ahead and wrap up here, though. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because if anything I say are right, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.